The wedding music stopped the moment the tall man stepped forward. His voice was calm, but the entire courtyard fell silent when he said, "Please don't speak to my wife like that again." Hundreds of villagers turned to look at Mira, because the man defending her wasn't just her husband. He was the wealthy businessman everyone in the region respected. And the woman he was protecting was the same girl this village once called the fat one no man would ever love. Mira's father stood frozen, because he remembered the last time he saw her, standing beside a dusty road with a small suitcase, while he handed her a bus ticket and told her to leave. Mira grew up knowing she was the disappointment of the family. Not because she was lazy, not because she was rude, but because she didn't look the way people wanted her to. She was bigger than the other girls in the village, soft-faced, round-shouldered, quiet. Her younger sister Lila, however, was everything the village adored. Slim, beautiful, always smiling. Whenever guests came over, Mira already knew what would happen. They would greet her sister first, compliment her, ask about her future. Then their eyes would slowly drift toward Mira, and their smiles would fade slightly. One aunt once whispered to Mira's mother, "What will you do with this one?" As if Mira wasn't sitting right there, as if she were a problem to solve. By the time she turned 20, the whispers in the village had turned into certainty. No one will marry her. She'll stay with her parents forever. 3 weeks later, Mira's small bag was packed. There was no celebration, no decorated car, no joyful goodbye. Instead, her father handed her a bus ticket. "You'll arrive in the afternoon," he said flatly. "The groom's family will meet you at the station." Mira blinked slowly. "You're not coming?" Her mother avoided her eyes. "We're busy preparing for your sister's school fees." That morning, Mira stood beside the dusty road waiting for the bus. Her suitcase rested beside her feet. Her sister waved lazily from the doorway. "Good luck," Lila said. The bus arrived with a loud screech. Mira climbed aboard, and for the entire 6-hour journey, she stared quietly out the window. Not crying, not angry, just wondering something she had never dared ask before. What if there was a place in the world where she wasn't unwanted? A place where someone might actually look at her and be glad she existed. The bus finally stopped in a large, unfamiliar town. People rushed off carrying bags and shouting for taxis. Mira stepped down slowly, clutching her suitcase. For a moment, fear crept into her chest. What if no one came? What if this was all a mistake? Then she heard a voice behind her. "Mira?" She turned. A tall man stood a few steps away. Simple shirt, kind eyes, nervous smile. "I'm Armin," he said. He quickly took her suitcase. "You must be tired," he said gently. "Let's go home." Halfway through the drive, he spoke again. "I want to tell you something honestly. I agreed to this marriage because my mother trusted you," he said. "But I want you to know something." He paused briefly. "No one forced me." Mira blinked. "I chose this." Then he added quietly, "And I'm glad you came." When the car passed through large iron gates, Mira thought they had taken a wrong turn. But Armin smiled. "Welcome home," The house was larger than anything she had imagined. Beautiful gardens, a wide courtyard, dozens of workers moving about their duties. No one stared at her strangely. No one whispered. And then she met Armin's mother, a dignified older woman named Madame Rehana. She greeted Mira warmly. "You must have been very brave to travel alone." Mira blinked in surprise. No one had ever called her brave before. Later that evening, Madame Rehana invited Mira to join her for tea. When they sat down privately, the older woman studied Mira carefully. Not with judgment, with curiosity. Finally, she asked quietly, "Tell me something honestly. Did your parents force this marriage?" Mira lowered her eyes. "Yes." Madame Rehana sighed softly. "I suspected as much." Mira braced herself for the next words. The criticism, the disappointment, the regret. But those words never came. Instead, Madame Rehana said something Mira would remember for the rest of her life. "Then this house will be the first place where no one forces you to be someone else." For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a burden. She didn't feel like a mistake. She felt like someone who finally had a place to belong. And when Armin later walked into the room and saw her smiling for the first time that day, he smiled too, as if that alone made the entire journey worth it. Over the next few months, Mira discovered something extraordinary. Armin treated her with a gentle, unwavering respect. If she spoke, he listened. If she struggled, he helped. When guests visited and someone made a careless comment about her appearance once, Armin responded calmly, "My wife is the best decision I've ever made." Slowly, Mira began to believe something she never had before. Maybe she wasn't the problem. Maybe she had simply been in the wrong place all along. Together, she and Armin built an extraordinary life. She helped improve his business, expanded operations, managed employees. Within years, the company tripled in size. But Armin never once took the credit alone. Whenever people praised him, he would say, "My wife saw the opportunity first." But Mira never forgot something. One day, she would have to return to the village that once sent her away. The same village where people laughed at her. And no one in that village would ever look at Mira the same way after that. When the invitation for Lila's wedding arrived, Mira was surprised. 10 years. No visits. No letters. And now, suddenly, "You should come," the message said. Armin watched her quietly. "You don't have to go," he said. Mira thought for a moment. Then she smiled. "No, I think it's time." The expensive car stopped outside her childhood home. Villagers gathering, whispers spreading. Mira stepped out slowly. Armin stepped out beside her. Not behind, not ahead. Beside. His hand rested gently at the small of her back. Protective. Proud. Later that day, during the wedding reception, one relative laughed loudly. "I guess Mira finally found someone who doesn't mind her size." Before Mira could react, Armin spoke calmly. "Actually," he said, "I admire my wife more than anyone I know." The courtyard fell silent. He continued gently, "She's the reason our company grew. She's the reason hundreds of families have jobs. And she's the kindest person I've ever met. And if I had to choose again, he said calmly, I would still choose her. He looked directly at Mira, and I'm proud to be her husband. For the first time in her life, the entire village saw Mira the way someone else had seen her all along. Not as the girl with no future, but as the woman who had built one. Sometimes the people who rush to get rid of you are the same people who will one day realize they sent away the best thing they ever had. And sometimes, the greatest love of your life is the person who sees your value long before the world ever does. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people discover stories like this. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you believe most times people only see someone's true worth after they lose them? Let me know if you can relate to any part of the story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories about life, love, and unexpected turns of fate. Because sometimes, the stories that stay with us the longest are the ones that remind us who we really are.